So I'm coming out from the property here to the little neighborhood, so farm community, and there's this dog that just sits in the middle of the road. Like, actually, he's not quite in the exact middle. Usually, he's right in the very middle and doesn't move most of the time when you come by. I mean, he puts himself right in the middle of it. It just drives you crazy. I'm like, really? He's got that Napoleon complex, I guess.
Yeah, right?
Anyway, beautiful morning. Just headed into town, get a few supplies from Ace, and maybe some breakfast, a little bit late breakfast.
Waffles!
But just want to get a little video of the drive coming out into the little farm community. Welcome back to Ray's A-Frame Adventure.
Episode 25! Woohoo!
Wrong sound tape.
Oops, just seeing if you're paying attention.
I am.
That makes one of us.
Does someone need to take a break?
I got this.
Then let's roll.
Episode 26!
As you can see, I'm still traveling down the valley here, and just beautiful spring morning, and wildflowers out, and horses enjoying their morning breakfast.
Where's mine?
Are you hungry? Okay then, looks like it's time for breakfast.
Yeah, and time to clean the windshield too.
Yeah, ran into a few bugs.
Well, at least it wasn't Rover.
Before I put in my vanity cabinet upstairs here, I'm going to put down this vinyl flooring. It's an interlocking flooring. It is actually, let me see here. Oh yeah, premium vinyl flooring. Engineered vinyl flooring, I guess. And it cuts easy with the circular saw. Works pretty good. And these pieces, as you can see, they're just going to kind of go and you just hook them together, and then they just latch together. And that'll provide me a little bit of water protection up here where the toilet and the sink will be. The rest of this room will be just some carpet. Forgot to mention that the back side of this actually has a vinyl mat that's already built into it as well. So it's good to go, ready to go down. Got to cut out where the toilet flange is, and don't know where my compass is at the moment. Maybe I have one somewhere, I don't know. So kind of the MacGyver approach here with everything is just use what you have on hand. And this was close in size, this lid from one of my grout containers. So that's going to work. We're going to cut that out with this. Yeah, you know what? We're going to have to use a jigsaw to cut this one out. Okay, it's kind of an elementary thing here, but an easy way to get your measurement for your tile, whatever I'm doing here.
Engineered luxury vinyl.
When it's left over, you can see that there's much overlap down here. So what I need to do is cut off this length to make it drop in there, but I can't cut that off because this has the groove and it has to match this groove. So I can't cut off that side. So what we're gonna do is just flip it around, and then, I mean, you could also tape measure and everything, but this is a good way to go. And then you could just mark it at this point, which then will give you your line to mark off the side. So you cut this side off, and then when you install it, you'll flip it back around, and then it'll fit in the hole, and you'll have your right groove on this side and this side that matches here and here. Okay, here we have the floor laid in. Worked out pretty good. I had to cut around, like I said, the
Toilet flange.
for the toilet there and for the water supply line. And it looks good. The only thing is I'm noticing, I don't have it nailed down. It's a floating floor, so it's supposed to just float, but I am noticing that it wants to pop up in a certain areas. Part of that's probably because my floor is completely level, being built on a log subfloor. So what I'm going to probably do is silicone it, and silicone and put a little floor adhesive underneath it just to make sure it sticks down, and maybe tack the edges as well. We're going to have some trim boards that'll cover the edge there too, so might just want to get glued down a little bit. It's just amazing. I had to stop and take a break from work. Watch the clouds over the mountains come in and the sunlight streaming through. It's been raining the past couple days, but it's just still, as I've said many times before, beautiful. Okay, before I install my plumbing pieces here, I'm spraying painting them with the oil rubbed bronze to kind of match the faucet and stuff up on top of the one sink, and the other one will get the brushed nickel. And I should be spraying this outside.
Good idea.
But it's raining, but I got the door open here, a little bit of ventilation coming through.
Goodbye,
So
lungs.
I'll put a couple coats on this.
Don't be dramatic.
And that should be good. All right, getting ready to spray the upstairs plumbing here.
There goes the
I'm
other
gonna go ahead
one.
and use the same bronze color here, dark bronze, antique bronze, whatever it is, and paint these supply lines and paint the waistline here, and that'll match the plumbing that's coming underneath, because you'll see all of that exposed through this cabinet here the way it's set up. So you'll see all of it on the bottom there. And as usual, I'm doing the MacGyver thing here. I like to make use of whatever I have on hand. So I've got plastic bags left over from Ace and wherever. So I'm using those as my shield there while I'm spray painting. All right, well, I got that painted, but this floor, I let it dry overnight. I glued it down with some liquid nail stuff, but the problem with it is it has a rubber backing on it, and the rubber backing just separated, so it still was not laying flat. So I'm taking the finish nailer here, and we're just going to go and put some finish nails into it, and they go in so nice and they hide fine. So I'm going to finish nail it, surface nail it, and which you can't see the finish nails, and hammer them down so they're flush, smooth, not a problem there, and that will hold it down. Okay, about got it done. Installation is pretty much complete. The only things I still need to do are hook up the supply lines, which I just have hanging over here at the moment, and they're just going to hook up down here, the hot and cold water supply, and then that's it. Oh, I just ran into the beam here.
Watch your head.
Thanks.
Still not done with this cabinet install with the bowl here. Working on trying to make it fit up with the plumbing. Came up with a bunch of different ideas, but I've got an extension tube that's going to go down, and what I'm going to have to do is drill here through the back of the cabinet, or one of these shelves here. That'll miss the drawer in the front of it, so I won't have to worry about the drawer. There's actually a gap between the back of the cabinet and the drawer there. So I'm going to drill down and then come underneath this, and I had to have a cutout. Let's see if I can pull back here. I created a cutout big enough here for my plumbing items to fit underneath there and through, and then I'll put my handles and stuff on here. I've got my plumbing supply lines valves on, and maybe I'll spray paint that to the silver. I don't know, that might be a little overkill. No one's really gonna see it. Then we'll hook up the supply line, slide this thing back into position, hook up the drain, and there we go. All right, here it is. Don't have my drawers in yet there, just because I want to show you the plumbing. There it is. Ended up working out. A little maybe convoluted the way it goes down in there, but it eventually makes its way out. Okay, there's the vanity unit. Installed completely with the drawers.
Ta-da!
April 25th, 2018, finally starting the painting process here in the bathroom, and using my painter's tape, blue tape, which gives a good release after a few days there. It doesn't leave a lot of residue. So just masking off some of the areas. I'm going to mask off the floor and stuff here before I do the ceiling. But caulk-wise, I'm a little sloppy when it comes to painting. So I just ran a bead of caulk in here, and then just took my thumb and kind of wiped out the excess. I had a fairly big gap between some of that tile there. Well, not big, but just a little bit of a gap. So then once I do that, I just take my wet sponge here, and I just come back and I just kind of wipe off the excess like that. And that pretty much will fill the gap and get it ready for the primer. Alright, as I get ready to paint, you can see I've masked it off, and I decided to go ahead and spend about 10 minutes and put this 0.7mm plastic drop cloth. It was like 98 cents or something. And tape that up to cover up all my plumbing and tile area here, and then I'll drag it out on the floor too to cover that for painting the ceiling. Yeah, just take an extra few minutes really to get it prepared, because I'm going to be putting 2 coats on this. So instead of trying to be real careful without spilling all the time, I'll be able to do it much quicker. And,
not that you're messy or
I don't have to
anything.
worry about getting stuff all over it.
Oh, of course not.
Okay, using my headlamp, as you can see, it's a little dark out. It's raining out again.
All right, we get the idea.
Putting on the primer here. I'm just putting it on with an old brush, actually. I just don't want to get the roller out and get it all dirty for such a small area. So I'm using Behr Drywall Primer and Sealer Premium Plus.
I knew you could read.
So we're going to get the primer up, and it's...
Did you think I couldn't?
Plus, I didn't want to roll the ceiling and get it all over either.
Only when it comes to instructions.
Whatever. I always follow the directions.
Right.
Just a quick note here. I know it's kind of simple, but I take my extra plastic bags that I have always lying around after getting some supplies or something, and I put my brushes in there in between painting sessions, and just take the brush and wrap it up inside there. And sometimes I'll put a rubber band here on the end, or today I have handy an actual plastic O-ring that was extra left over from plumbing. And so I'll just slip that onto the end there over the bag, over the handle, and that'll keep it it pretty much will keep it fresh for several days and stuff too, rather than washing the brush out and everything every time, which is a pain in the neck, especially if I'm going to come back tomorrow and use the same color. Okay, primer is on the wall, and I have one coat, the ceiling paint done. So the primer and ceiling paint are done, and now I'm getting ready to paint with the, let's see what color we got here. It's like it's the best Bear Marquee paint. It's supposed to be one coat coverage guaranteed. And you can see my little dot here. It's like an ivy color green. So let's get started and see if we can get this done while there's still a little bit of daylight outside. So I guess I'm overtired today. I started cutting in the green here tonight. I'm just about trying to wrap this thing up here. And then realized as I wasn't paying attention. That's the roof there, Junior.
Oops.
Yeah, that was going to be left white. So now I got to decide, am I going to clean that up or leave it white? Or, what am I going to do? Actually, the original idea was I was going to paint the whole thing green inside this bathroom because it's kind of small. So I was actually going to paint the roof and everything green at one point.
Sure you were.
But then I decided to just go ahead with the white. So I'm in the bathroom here, got it all painted with the ivy green color. Came out really nice, eggshell. But I've decided to maybe add a little texture to it in here, kind of to match the sink, which I know you can't see now because it's underneath plastic, but you get the idea. Just to kind of get a little texture on the wall, a little look to it. So I'm sponging it, but I'm not actually sponging it. I'm using...
Don't tell me.
Toilet paper.
Ah, jeez.
So, hey, then it's appropriate, isn't it, for the bathroom? So I'm just taking a little bit of the toilet paper here. Oops, let me get my other hand. It's got the glove on here. And just kind of wadding up some toilet paper.
Kind of
and
gross.
dipping it in some paint. And this paint is actually a little bit left over from the outside color. And I'm just taking it and just dabbing it in some areas. The goal of the faux finishing is to make it as random as possible here. And if you've got an area that's too heavy, like in this area here, you just go back with a wet rag and kind of grind into it. It's somewhat dry, it dries pretty fast. And then I'll just... Sorry, my phone kept cutting out for lack of memory.
Oops.
And you paid. So anyways, I was saying you kind of wipe off a little bit of the extra with the cloth there, wet, damp rag. And then it kind of smears a little bit too, sets it back. And I might go with a third coat on this, maybe in the corners, and just put a glaze and darken it up. The only negative problem about using the toilet paper here, I tried the sponge, didn't really like it, but the toilet paper, the only negative is you gotta just make sure you don't walk out somewhere in public. So I ran out of toilet paper, but I've got napkins here. Extra napkins, compliments of Taco Bell. And hey, you gotta eat somewhere. Don't be a hater.
I like Taco Bell.
Alright, so
You like
this
any
is working pretty good.
Not true.
Going around again.
I don't like pea soup,
soup here.
especially after watching this episode.
Yeah, it does kind of look like
You
it.
don't want to have too much on there. You want to kind of beat off the excess.
Beat it, yeah, beat
And
it.
just start
All
putting
you
in the
gotta
batter.
do is beat it.
Oh, no,
So
please
I'm
stop.
walking right
Stop,
here.
wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
There you go.
Help.
Simple as that. Again, trying to make it very random.
Help!
And afterwards,
I
I
need
went back
somebody's
again with
help.
a wet cloth and kind of just
Okay, I'm
lightly
muting you.
brushed it. And I'm going to glaze over it, I think, with another color here shortly. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get a little bit of color on a wet rag. Same color that I'm using for the highlights here. And then I'm going to go back and I want to add a little bit of layering to this. So I'm going to kind of put this on and then kind of just wipe it off. So I'm going to have some highlights in the glaze so it looks more like adobe, maybe painted adobe, and just softens everything. Kind of glaze over it with a little bit lighter shade here. Actually, it's the same shade. I just kind of want to set the tone back a little bit so it's not so bright and it looks more natural. And then I'm going to go back with the original green ivy color over that and kind of glaze and darken some of those areas too, especially in the corners. Okay, now I'm going back with some of the original ivy green color and just going to paint in the corners again with it. And what I'm doing is, I'll just show you here real quickly. So I'm kind of glazing it again with the original color, which now looks different on top of the haze of the white, or excuse me, the haze of that lighter green color. So, bear with me for a minute. And then once I get that glazed in the corner, then I just take the rag and that kind of wipe it, leaving some in the corners. Okay, so it gives a little bit darker shadow in the corner. And then I'll pull some of that green glaze out into on top of this too. So that multi-layering will kind of set those colors back and give it a deep richness. So there's the cabin It's about halfway up the mountain there. I don't know if you can see it. I'm driving here, so probably shouldn't try to zoom at the same time I'm driving. But
Remember,
there
kids,
it is,
never
like
zoom
right
and
in the middle
drive.
there.
Is that a semi coming?
And hold on. Yeah, as I said, yeah, don't go out in public that way.